Welcome back, everybody. This is episode number 7 of the Good Old Hockey Podcast. I'm here with Gally again. We had a good week. I don't know about you, but we had some good hockey. We had the Global Series games. Was that what it was called? Yeah.
Yeah,
Over the last weekend, was that Stutzla fucking, what did he do? He batted out of the air. Did you see that goal?
yeah, that was
Yeah.
insane. Yeah, there's some pretty good games.
Yeah.
I know it fucked some people's fantasy
Yeah.
matchups because the games are at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Like I
Like you
saw
couldn't set
some
lineups.
shit on I saw some shit on Twitter that some guy lost because of that.
Oh, no.
His season's going down the drain because of this
Yeah.
loss. So,
Yeah.
but hey, I took the dub in fantasy. I think I'm 4 or 5-0. It's fucking ridiculous.
Damn.
But
I think I'm
took the dub in
3-3 right
fantasy.
now.
Yeah, I took the dub in fantasy.
Oh, actually.
More importantly, I took the dub in beer league, which
Oh,
shout out Hooligans. We finally got a dub. It's been like a month and a half, but
really?
it was a super fun game. Super fun game.
Yeah.
It was fast paced. I was playing center, but yeah. Besides that, man, I had a friendsgiving on Friday. Kind of set up
Mm.
3 tables diagonally in my
Yeah.
living room and had a fuck ton of people over and
Awesome.
made a turkey for my first time. So
Oh, how was that?
that was
I've yet to do
interesting.
that. Yeah.
Oh shit, and correction, I'm 6-0 actually in fantasy. So
Okay.
my team's fucking outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the turkey came out good and yeah, it was pretty solid weekend overall. Did a lot of shit.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I think. What did we do? I saw Stevie downtown. I think it was Saturday. Cause yeah, I was after the Steelheads game. I went to a Steelheads game on Saturday. Which, by the way, Zooch. I went with him. So Tin Roof had like a box, or not a box. It was like the upper deck thing with the bar and
yeah.
stuff. One of their distributors had like tickets up there, so he got us in there, and we had like a table by the railing. Got to eat and watch hockey. It was fun. But they were playing like replays of goals this year, just doing like their pregame stuff, and the goal horn was going off. And Zach was like, "Did we get a new goal horn?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually." Fucking Gally made that. You made that, right? Like that was you programmed that?
Yeah, no, I totally sought that out. I still haven't been to Steelers game yet. I could definitely go to one though, and I mean, I miss them, dude. It's just
Yeah.
it would hurt my heart in a way to go to it because
Yeah.
I'm seeing all the shit that I planned out in the
Yeah.
summer,
No, it would be. Yeah. I can see that being
promotion,
tough.
interns, mascots, the goal horn. But yeah, I did get the goal horn started. I literally seeked that out from hornblasters.com and ordered it and put that thing together and yeah, man, it sounds sick. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I was so worried that I was gonna be too loud and blow people's eardrums out, but
No, it's
I don't
cool.
know.
I
I'm
like it.
still a little bit associated with the Steelheads, my marketing company now, and that's one of the
Oh yeah.
accounts I actually work with for advertising stuff, and still kind of write blurbs for them in a few magazines like Boise Dev here in Idaho, and still
That's cool.
somewhat associated with them. And
Yeah.
they're some of my best friends, so it's not too crazy in terms of client relations. But yeah, man, I miss the fuck out of that job. It's that was definitely the place where I oh did I
What
just
happened?
cut out? What happened?
No, you're good.
No, you're good. Yeah, but I mean, shit, dude. I know they miss me. It sucks every time, fucking miss you guys, and
Yeah.
vice versa. So yeah, man. But I'll make it to a game soon. They're fucking doing so good. Like to start
They
out
are.
the season, I'd say they're 11-2-1. I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Kansas City's right up there with them in the Mountain Division. So it's gonna look like another fucking good regular season from the Steelheads. But
Yeah.
hey, when ECHL playoffs comes around, it's fucking a whole another beast. And
Oh
I
yeah.
witnessed that last year. I think it's just hockey playoffs in general,
Yeah.
but I mean, they had such a dominant record-breaking season, and then they went down 0-2 to start out the series. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how they can at least translate it into the playoffs. But I think they're doing fucking great, and they're gonna have a great
Yeah.
season. They got
I agree.
really coaching staff. I mean, Everett Sheen and Keenan Kelly are just fucking dogs, dude. They're
Yeah.
probably gonna be in some higher leagues sometime soon
Yeah.
because I mean, in 2 back-to-back regular seasons, and let alone who knows how they do in the playoffs, is pretty impressive. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see, but yeah, Steelheads are a fucking wagon per usual. Best ECHL team, no
Oh yeah,
doubt.
for sure. Yeah, they've been hot. Yeah, I saw them. They played the Allen Americans. They beat them. What was it like? We got the jumbo jack, so it was like 5-1 or something like that. So yeah, they're good this year. But yeah, that was Saturday. Sonny didn't do much yesterday though, like a degenerate on a Monday. So Tin Roof is closed for this week. Which those of you listening that don't know what we're talking about, Tin Roof is just a local taco shop. If anyone's listening out of market of us, yeah, it's a taco shop that I used to work at. And I'm all still good friends with everyone that work there. A lot of our people that do the podcast with us still work there. So yeah, they're closed for renovation. So last night we went to Jackpot, Nevada. Now, again, if you're out of market, this is a place about 2.5 hours from where we are at, Boise, Idaho. So we drove down there yesterday. Sorry. At around like 1 p.m. Got there around like 5 because we took a little stops here and there. But basically, it's this town right on the border of Idaho and Nevada. And obviously, gambling's legal there. But every single license plate in that parking lot is all Idaho. So the state of Nevada is all on Pacific time. Yet the casino runs on Idaho time because they know everyone there is from Idaho. So all the clocks and stuff, it all reads Idaho. It's not Nevada, which is funny to me. But yeah, I cooked. Well, not really cooked up, but me and Zooch had done a parlay. Well, we were just doing like simple ones. So we wanted to do one for the 5 o'clock game, which was Edmonton and Florida. And the over-under was at 7. And we were like, damn, that's pretty high. But they're two pretty high-scoring teams, especially lacking defensively. So we took the over in Edmonton because we were like, you know what? They got a new coach. They're starting to get some things together. And then I found out that their backup was starting, and this was like one of his first NHL games. So that was awesome. Or at least of the season. And then Bobrovsky was playing. But first period, 2-0 Edmonton. And I was like, okay, this is looking good. And then it was 2-2 Panthers. By the end of the first period, it was 2-2. So I was like, okay, this over looks good. Now we just got to worry about the Edmonton just pulling it out and winning. So third period happens. It's 4-3. And the entire game, we're watching the entire like third period. It was stressful as shit because I put $20 down and I would have won, I think, 80 or $100. So I was like, I could use that money for extra gambling money. And of course, Edmonton does what they do best and just couldn't do it. I think Florida looked really good in that game. They were very defensive, good on the forecheck like they always have been the last couple of years. So that was depressing. And then we find out lately Cody has been on a losing streak. I mean, so have I, but on a losing streak on parlays. And
he's usually pretty good, right?
Yeah. For hockey last year, he was pretty good. But we told him, we're like, don't bet with us, please. Like, bet anything else. Not this game. And we find out at the end of the game that he put money on the Oilers. It wasn't like the same bet that we did, but he had like the Oilers. And I think he got them all. He bet the Bruins, the Oilers, and the Predators to win. And the Predators came back last minute. And so that was the one bet that he didn't get right, was the Oilers game that we also bet on. So it was definitely frustrating. It was a stressful game, but we had fun.
I think I had the Oilers over. It barely hit. It was 5-3, right?
Yeah, it was 5-3. And the over was 7. So if they had tied the game, it would have been 4-4, which is 8. And then if they won, it'd been 5-4, so 9. So it was looking good going into the third. I was like, they just need to tie it up and win. But they couldn't do it.
No, 5-3. That's 8, man. Over 7.
No, but we needed the Oilers to win also. It was a 2-leg parlay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, hold up. I think I hit that last night.
No, yeah, the over hit for the game. but we had both the over and Edmonton to win because they were the underdogs. So it boosted our odds, but
Dude,
did not
speaking
help.
of bad beats, this is non-hockey betting related, but I
Yeah.
had a fucking six or seven. I think it was a 17 parlay. It was one of the most degenerate bets I've ever done. It
Yeah.
was on
Yeah.
World Cup qualifying. Put like $12 to win like 468. Hit 6 out of 7 legs, and Togo, a country in Africa, fucked me over, dude. They fucking
No.
lost them at the money line. I would have been super happy on that, but
Yeah.
that was a bad beat. But yeah, dude, Jackpot Nevada it's pretty sick.
It's
It's
fun.
mostly like Twin Falls people that go there, but
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I've had some funny experiences there. One time I was on a roulette table, a guy hit like 17 red, hopped on the like intercom system. He was shit faced. Hopped on the intercom system and was like 17 red, 17 red. This guy probably would have won like 20, 30K, and they fucking dragged him out after that. I
Yeah.
was like, holy
For
shit,
getting on
dude.
the intercom,
Yeah, I mean, you probably shouldn't do that, but
they'll do anything to null your bets and be like, "Oh,
yeah,
sorry, you're not getting your money. You're kicked out."
Jackpot's
So
a good place. Well, he's being
it is.
kind of a fucker, but he was
Yeah,
probably
he
down.
was.
Who knows? Who knows? This
Yeah.
guy was.
Who
It
knows?
was. There's some interesting folks that go through Jackpot,
Yeah.
but yeah, dude, nothing's better than hitting a parlay in a sports book, dude. One time I
Yeah.
was in
We were like
Vegas.
sitting there. Oh,
Yeah, that's fire, dude. One time I was in Vegas, I was getting a massage from some like I don't even know. In Vegas, they have like chicks that go around and gives massages in sports books, and I was
no
getting
way.
on my neck and shoulders and watching five leg parlay, and it hit, and I fucking won like I want to say like
Wow.
$200 off of it. But yeah, enough like jackpot and penny
Yeah.
talk.
We'll get into some NHL talk. Yeah. That was just our DGen conversation we just had. But yeah, jackpot on a Monday wasn't successful, shocker, but had a lot of fun regardless. So, but we did have some good stuff coming out of the NHL this last week. Interesting development in Patrick Laine here. I don't really know what's happening with him. I mean, I know he had a healthy scratch. He had said what this is the most embarrassing thing in his life, which
Yeah, today he came out with I think in an interview presser like saying it was the most embarrassing moment of his life. So very very interesting coming out of just Columbus, and I know their GM said they're not going to make any big moves. But if I were him, I would. I mean, being one of their best players, let alone I mean, he got traded there in that Pierre-Luc Dubois trade a few years back. And he was going to be a key piece for the Blue Jackets, and just getting healthy scratch, that's tough. I mean, he has 3 points in 9 games played, so really not the best.
yeah,
If I were him, I'd be wanting out of fucking Columbus. I mean,
yeah,
I think he's a good goal scorer. I want to say, shit, dude, like he's put up 40 goals,
oh
I
yeah.
think, in it. But
I think he did
I
that last year.
Yeah, I think he needs to maybe get a shakeup, but I don't know if the Blue Jackets are going to trade him. I mean, it's interesting the Blue Jackets GM said that because he kind of put together this team. I don't think Johnny Gaudreau is playing very well either.
No,
I've heard Flames fans say, Johnny Hockey back to the Flames. I doubt that happens, but yeah, man, like I don't know. I'm still pissed he left the Flames, but
yeah,
yeah, the Blue Jackets are in the fucking dumps right now. I mean,
they
they
are.
are 1-7-2 in their last 10. They're just I want to say they're close to the bottom. They're like third or fourth last in the league. So yeah, it's kind of a shit show in Columbus right now. Yeah, so I guess he scored holy shit, he scored 44 goals in 2017-18 season.
Okay.
Sophomore. And he hasn't
Yeah.
scored he hasn't cracked 30 since 2018-19 since.
Oh,
He
really?
didn't have a good year last year. Kind of around the point per game player, but yeah, dude. I mean, it's gonna be
Which is
interesting
still
what happens in
like,
for the Blue Jackets. So
yeah, yeah. I'm curious with them. I mean, you'd be like, I don't know if you had told me. I didn't really have high expectations for Columbus, but I would still think like production wise, I think that they could still at least do something like Line and Gaudreau, now Fantilli on that line too. I think with them,
yeah,
or is even playing with them, but Yeah, I mean, Columbus has just got to figure it out before they get extradited from Columbus, if that's even a word. But um, yeah, so we'll see in the coming future what that means or what that was that he got a healthy scratch. I haven't seen that in a while, unless it was. I think the last time I saw that was Patty Kane, but we all knew that he was going to get traded.
I think it was
Um,
just kind of production wise. I mean, if you're one of the best players on the team, scoring 3 points, players that
yeah,
are getting paid league minimum or million, $2 million a year are outscoring you and outplaying you. I mean,
I'd
you got
play
to do
them. Yeah,
something about that. And I mean, fuck, up in Calgary, Jonathan Huberdeau, he's getting paid $10.5 million a year, 10.5, and he's not doing too much. I mean, been playing a lot better since he got benched in the third period a few games back. But I mean, there's definitely some players around the league that have had some cold fucking starts,
yeah,
and he's definitely up there.
yeah.
And the one the Blue Jackets are. I mean, I feel like some people kind of slotted them in as kind of a fringe team maybe with Fantilli and Gaudreau and Line. I mean, those three players alone,
Yeah,
um,
they should be at least.
they got Merzelinkis in the back. I don't even know if I think I butchered that name, but um, yeah, that's kind of happening with Columbus. But did you want to touch on this? This comeback from the Preds too.
Yeah, so this was so I almost after that Edmonton bet, I thought about putting money on Nashville. I was like, I don't know, I could see it's a central matchup. It's a rivalry between Colorado and Nashville. Um, I was like, maybe the Preds could do it. And then watching it, I saw the Avs were up by 1, and then I get a notification from the score on my phone, and I was like, holy shit, they just scored 2 goals in 16 seconds. And I don't know if you saw the YouTube clip or the Instagram clip of it, but that place was rocking. I would have loved to be at that game because that just looked like so much electricity of just scoring off an empty net, or you get man advantage off an empty net. They score, and then 16 seconds later they take the lead. And it was like two of their pretty well. I guess Philip Forsberg scored the one, and then Luke Kunin the other one. But yeah, that was pretty cool to see them have that 16-second comeback, pretty much. And that,
Yeah, I
like,
saw that score notification too, and I was like, "What the
yeah,
fuck?"
yeah, yeah, that was cool. But other than that, we're gonna do something new here with how we're gonna be talking about league and stuff. We're gonna do this. It's called Hot or Not. Um, we're each gonna name off teams. The other one is gonna give a description whether they're hot or they're not. Um, Pretty self-explanatory. But first, start off with the Caps. I'll give a little preview. The last 10, they're 8-1-1, and they have been heating up a bit, especially in those last 10. We kind of, I mean, I think we touched on them in the beginning of the season, just kind of saying how we were kind of shocked, kind of not, like, wasn't really sure where they were going to be.
Hmm.
But Gal, if you had to give one word, what would that word be for the Caps?
Hot. I think
Yeah,
they're gonna make the playoffs. I think just with their
I
experience
could
and
see it. Yeah.
they have an old roster.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ovi's kind of you know leading the charge of that team, but you got veterans like Carlson on there, Kuznetsov, um, Tom Wilson is another one on there, and I think they should if they continue this. I mean, they're looking good. I know that's a hard place to play too, in Washington, DC, at least for opposing teams. But no, they're looking a lot better than what they did start out as. Um, and not only that, I mean, being 8-1-1 within a very hard division, that's also been fluctuating a lot. I mean, shit, looking at that division, the Devils are down to sixth place in that division now, which
Yeah.
is like they were like first or second a couple weeks ago. So
Yeah.
lots of movement in the Metro right now, but I think the Caps should slot in over the Flyers. I don't think the Flyers are. I think they're not, if anything.
Yeah.
But I'd say the Capitals are definitely hot. Um, but yeah, I mean, going off to the next team, we got the Florida Panthers, which are 8-2-0 in their last 10. Um, they're doing really good. I know they were kind of a team that a couple weeks ago they were also kind of like
Yeah.
on the downward spiral to the bottom of their division, but now they're right back up 12-5-1. They're scoring again. I know Matthew Tkachuk is absolutely tearing it up for them. But what would you say, hot or not?
I would say the Panthers. I would say they're hot right now. And yeah, they had a rough start, like we said. And I think it was kind of just one of those things where we've talked about how the Knights have not had a Stanley Cup hangover. And they've obviously been they're top of the league right now or second in the league. But I think also for the Panthers, they kind of had that. I mean, they got what gentlemen swept in the playoffs or in the Stanley Cup final. So they had to play. I mean, they had to play. They have less time to prepare than other teams.
Yeah.
And I mean, they lost some pieces here and there, but they also added some pieces. Didn't have Ekblad to start. Now they do have him. So I think we're gonna start seeing them start heating up. So I'm definitely gonna give them a hot in what they've been doing. For our next one though, we're gonna go over to the Central Division. Stars right now, they are first in the Central. I know that 17 points, the leader for Joe Pavelski on the Stars. So he's at a point per game right now at the age of 39.
Crazy.
The guy is crazy. Miss him as a Sharks fan, but I'm glad to see that he's having some success in Dallas. Hopefully, he wins a cup this year for them. I don't think he'd be doing that with the Sharks. 17 points in 7 games, but I mean overall they're 12-4-1, sitting at 25 points, which is only 3 points behind Vegas, 4 points behind Boston. So they're still up there. But I could probably guess your answer here. But what's your hot or not for them?
I'd say hot.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of always talking about the Stars and the Avs, being the top of that division, that Central division. But I think there's a lot of good additions for them. I think Duchesne is a huge addition for them. He's got 15 points in 16 games. Roope Hintz is also killing it, point per game. And Pavelski, I mean, point per game pace at 39 years old. I mean, not aging right now.
No.
But you got some excellent goaltending on the back end. Ottinger is 8-3, .920 save percentage, 2.5 goals against. So the Stars are clicking right now for sure. And some of their past games, I think they beat someone that was pretty damn good recently. The Rangers, I mean, they easily handled the Rangers 6-3, but night before they lost to the Avs 6-3. So the Central is still open, but for right now, I'd say hot, and for the rest of the season, I think they keep it up and potentially get that top 4 spot in the Western Conference.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think with the Central, where it's always going to have that toss up between the Avs and the Stars, especially this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with that.
So going on to our next, we got the Montreal Canadiens, who are 2-7-1 in their last 10. Despite having a good start of the season, they're starting to cool down like we expected. But what do you think, hot or not?
Yeah, I'm going to give them a not. I wouldn't give them a hard not. I'd maybe let it play out. I think maybe this year with the team they have, I mean, they play in a tough division, but maybe for Montreal, maybe they could get close to 500 at the end of the season. But definitely right now they are not hot at all. But yeah, I mean, they had that good start in the beginning of the season. I think a lot of that had to do with their schedule. I don't think they really had that strong of a schedule. I know they didn't play Boston in the beginning. But they had some easy opponents that I think kind of helped them. And it's good for them. I mean, you kind of need a good week schedule to start off with because it builds some confidence that'll carry on with the rest of the season. But yeah, I'm gonna give them a not.
Yeah, 4-game lose streak. They're not looking too good, especially in the Atlantic, which is a pretty damn hard division to be playing in. So I mean, I don't really see them getting past last place in that division. I think the Blue Jackets or Islanders maybe could beat them out for last, at least in terms of standings in the Eastern Conference. But dude, the Canadiens they're not looking too good.
No, they're not. Next one we also kind of touched on a bit. Columbus. Their last 10 is 1-7-2. Obviously with Patrick Laine getting a healthy scratch like we just talked about. What's your pick, hot or not, for the Columbus?
Not.
Yeah.
I think they might. They might. They don't turn it around like something with Gaudreau and Line
Yeah.
A. I mean, they're not looking too good. I think they have. Oh, I was gonna say they have the second worst goal differential after the Sharks. The Sharks have -49.
Yeah. Makes
which
sense.
is fucking unbelievable
Yeah.
that they have that at this point.
Yeah.
This season.
I will say though, credit to the Sharks. They did beat who they beat. I forget who they beat, but they won 5-1 the other day, which was a season high for them in goals. I think the most before that they had in a game was 3 goals in a game. Was their highest.
Yeah.
So yeah, seeing that 5-goal game, I was like, wow. But that goal differential still is not looking good. I don't think it'll continue to get better. So
That's what I love about hockey is just
yeah,
it can just change like that. Even if your team is that
Yeah.
shit, you can still win 5-1. But yeah, with
Yeah.
the Blue Jackets, I mean, it's pretty incredible. I mean, Johnny Gaudreau, who's I think one of their highest paid players, as well as Laine. I mean, we talk about Laine, 3 points in 9 games. That's dog shit. 19 games played, 7 points for Gaudreau, which is gonna be below any season. It's gonna be below his rookie season, even in points.
Yeah.
Then we got, I mean, even Fantilli's got 9 points in 19 games. I know he publicly came out and was like, I fucking hate losing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, a defenseman Provorov has the most points on their teams, 12 points in 19 games. So they're just getting absolutely no
Yeah.
offense, not clicking at all. I wouldn't be surprised if they do fire their fucking coach, which they had that whole incident happen.
Yeah. With
Beginning of the
Babcock.
season with
Yeah.
Babcock.
I forgot about that. That could be
Yeah.
a big reason, actually.
Yeah, but yeah, there's definitely some work to do in Columbus.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. We didn't really touch on this, and I wanted to with Line. Like, where could you see him going realistically?
I mean, that's tough. I'm not very good at like predicting where these players could go. What's his contract like? Does he have, if you know it?
I don't know it off the top of my head. Let's
Yeah.
see.
So if he's getting paid big bucks and he's getting 3 points, like that's hard to market that and be like, this guy could be good for your team, I really don't know, honestly, with him. And I think for Columbus, like it'd be tough to just get rid of him like that. I mean, I know they're in a shitty spot in the sense of they're kind of in this weird bubble where they're not rebuilding. They've kind of built a good foundation. They just kind of need to build around that. So it's like, do you get rid of him or do you kind of stick it out? And I think a big thing that I forgot about was that Torts thing. I think that's a big thing that, having a coach that you worked with all off season, had all these game plans in play and just morale with the coach too. And just camaraderie, like having that connection with that coach and then having all that stuff come out. And I think it just takes a toll on a team. And I don't know. I think that's to blame for a lot of their start that they've had for Columbus.
Yeah. I couldn't really see him getting traded anywhere. If he does, I think it's like a $8 to $9 million cap hit a year. So
yeah,
that's going to be hard to trade with 3 points in 9 games. But
yeah,
it'd be sweet if he came to Calgary. I don't think they have the cap space though.
No. Yeah, that cap. I think that's the big problem with him is, if he was getting a lot of points, but I don't think we'd be in this conversation if he was having a lot of points. So
yeah. All right, next on the list we got the Kings, 8-0 on the road. They're 11-3-3. They're 3 points behind Vegas. This came out of nowhere because I think we were kind of talking about the Kings like they're maybe a wild card team, but yeah, this is impressive from the Kings. I mean, 8-0 on the road is like holy shit.
I want to say it is a record for teams to start off like that, 8-0 away. I mean, even at home, where are they? They're 3-3-3 at home, so they're not great at home, but they're still. I mean, I'm going to give them a hot as much as I don't like the Kings. Um, I think with the Pacific and how open it is, besides Vegas and Vancouver, I mean, they're only 2 points behind Vancouver right now, so they're really not that far behind, and only 3 points behind the Kings, so or the Knights. Um, I kind of saw them coming into this 3 spot just because I really don't see a whole lot of teams on here. I thought Edmonton was going to be up a lot higher, but um, yeah, I mean they've had a hot start, and it's been going, continue going. So yeah, I'm going to give them a hot.
Okay. Um,
What do you think about the Kings?
I think that it's kind of hard for me to decide. Like being such a weird division like that, I'd say
Yeah.
they are hot right now. They're looking at like they're in a really good spot.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I guess I'd give them a hot.
Yeah,
Who's in the second place? I mean, shit, they got the Canucks and Knights who are just absolute juggernauts, and I mean they're not too far
they're
behind.
they're not too far behind them. I mean, they're only a game. If Canucks and Kings play a game tomorrow, the Kings would be ahead of them, or I guess not because wins, but like they'd be tied in points if they played a game. So and Kraken are 6 points behind them, so they do have a pretty sizable lead in the 4 spot. So we'll see. I mean, I think they're definitely hot right now. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, unless Edmonton can figure it out and climb up that leaderboard, I think that 3 spot is theirs to take.
Yeah,
Kraken don't really have great goaltending. The Ducks are the Ducks. The Flames can't really figure it out, but they are doing a little bit better as of recently.
they are.
And then the Oilers and the Sharks, and we know where those 2 teams are. But yeah, I would say I think giving them a hot for now.
Yeah,
Hot for now is good. Maybe not continue to be hot, but
I see
yeah, the
a.
next one.
This is a
What?
just random prediction. I could see a not so good December from the Kings just because
The
they have been
Kings.
killing it this November. I mean, they didn't start off too hot, but I just don't think they can. I mean, that 8-0 on the road, let alone, I mean, being
Yeah,
11-3 is pretty difficult. But yeah, hot for right now.
yeah, hot for right now. We'll keep it at that. Cool. All right. Next, we're gonna go on to some players here. Connor McDavid right now. So in the 4 games since Jay Woodcroft has been fired from the Oilers, and they hired his old Erie Otters coach. He's had 5 points in those 4 games. He had 2 goals last night against the Panthers. So, what's your points on that? He has 10 points right now at the time of this recording. So he's gotten 5 points in the last 4 games, but he's had 10 points this whole season. What is your take on Mr. McDavid?
Not. I don't think he's. I think he's still gonna underperform this year, and this
Yeah.
is bias coming from a Flames fan, but yeah, I mean, I truly think that he's still underperforming. He's
Yeah.
not carrying his team like generational superstars should,
Yeah.
like a Crosby would, like a
Hmm.
Patrick Kane would, like a Wayne Gretzky, like a Mario Lemieux,
Yeah.
which is a big part of a player's legacy, and especially in the game of hockey. I mean, that's a big part of what type of player you are. I mean, yeah, you can score all of these goals and whatnot, but I still don't think he's producing at the level he was. I mean, he does have 15 points in 15 games right now, but I mean, there's still 3 players ahead of him on the points list: Evander Kane, Bouchard, and Draisaitl. So
All ahead of him.
it is going to be interesting to see how the Oilers do because they're still not doing too well, and I think that they're on I want to say a 3. No, they're on a 2-game losing streak right now. But those
Oh yeah,
3 wins,
McDavid has 15.
yeah,
I don't
were
know where
against.
I saw he had 10.
Yeah, I think he had 10 points before the firing, and now he
That's
has.
right. That's what I wrote that down for. Okay. Yeah. He had 10 points before the firing, and now in the last 4 games he's had 5.
But I will say, like those 3 wins they got when after the coach got fired. I mean, they're against the Islanders and Kraken, so it's nothing
Yeah.
nothing too impressive. And still, like, they're not too good against these legitimate teams that they're playing. But you can see
Yeah.
the frustration in McDavid. And yeah, I mean, right now, say he's not. I think it's going to continue the rest of the season. He's just going to have an off year, and um, maybe he'll pick things back up second half of the season. But I mean, still being at this point of the year and having 3-4 players ahead of you on the points is not too good. So
No. Yeah, I think I don't know with him. I mean, I wouldn't give him a not. I think maybe okay, I'll give him a warming up. Not a hot, but he's definitely
okay,
I think he could be warming up. I think it's definitely frustrating. I could see I don't know, did you see the interview he had with one of the reporters last night about that Panthers win? The reporter had asked like seems like you guys can't really get a lot of defense going. Would you rather it be like how about you like how are you guys trying to make it a 4-1 win versus a 7-5 win? Like what are you guys doing? And McDavid was pretty annoyed with that question because I guess that reporter has asked that question multiple times. He was like, "Geez, you love this question, don't you?"
yeah,
And I think Canadian media is so much different than if he was playing for even the Sharks or the Knights or any of these teams that really don't have that big media presence like Canada does.
yeah,
And I think those guys, it's, I mean, I think it's just tough to play in Canada sometimes, and especially if your team is losing. I'm
no, no,
sure Quinn Hughes is loving life right now. I don't think he was the past couple of years.
yeah,
And I think Matthew Kachuk and Johnny Gaudreau probably felt the same way, where they're doing good, but it's just like I don't know what the media was doing to them. But I think it's tough to play in Canada. I mean, unless you're winning, you're going to get hounded about
yeah.
your
Media was
play.
going after them too. I mean, that was part of the
Yeah,
reason they left. And I mean, not only that, you're making more money in the States and stuff. I mean, Canada's economic situation, their
yeah,
media
yeah.
situation when it comes to hockey, it's a tough place to play for sure.
It
So
is. Yeah,
yeah,
but
man, I feel for McDavid. I feel for the Oilers. Still, I dislike the Oilers a lot, but
yeah,
man, I don't. No one saw this season, the
no,
start of the season is coming for them. There's still a lot of
no,
puck to play. So
there is. Yeah, and we had talked about like McDavid possibly not doing what he did last year, which would be tough. But if he's the generational talent, we're all saying that he is. I mean, he should be able to keep up that 160 point pace. Um, Coming into his 26-year-old, 27-year-old self.
yeah, prime
So
years.
we'll see how the rest of there's still a lot of runway left for him to play, but it's not looking too good. We'll say I'll give him a warming up. You can give him a not,
Yeah,
but
giving him a nod. Fuck the
yeah.
Oilers.
Yeah.
So
What's
next we
next?
got on here is Willie Nylander. Looks like
Yes.
17 games, 27 points. I know he's on a 17 game point streak from the start of the season, which is fucking bonkers.
Hmm.
And he's probably one of the swaggiest players in the
Oh
league
yeah.
right now. I heard he was like
Yeah.
Elon Madison Beers or whatever, which is fucking
Yeah.
huge. And I
Yeah.
know he's got some fucking insane looks and style. And
Style. Yeah.
um, I remember I saw him when he went over to Sweden. He was on some like talk show, and this grandma
Yeah.
was just rizzing him up and
Yeah.
talking about his looks, and I was
Yeah.
like, "This is fucking hilarious." But not
They
only
love
that,
him over there.
taking the subway to the games. So
Yeah. Yeah. That too. That was a funny picture. Just him like sitting there, and then the guy in the Leafs hat didn't even know it was him.
yeah,
He was pretty well disguised though, so I could see how you don't recognize him or that you're sitting
yeah,
right next to him. But yeah, I would say for him, definite hot. I mean, he's on a historic start,
yeah,
17 game point streak to start the season. I don't know. I have no idea what the record is, but I imagine he's close to that record or on pace to do it at least.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, he's definitely, especially after I think the global series kind of put a lot of eyes on him with a lot of that media stuff, and I think everyone over there loves him. I want to say he's from Stockholm or Sweden in general. Was that true? Right?
yeah. He's from Sweden. I'm not sure exactly where in Sweden, but yeah, I think he's really performing this year too because he's on a contract year. He's gonna get
That is
fucking
true.
paid, or
Oh, he was born
who
in
knows,
Canada.
who knows where. Yeah, but he is
Oh, he's
Swedish.
Swedish too. Okay. Yeah.
And I think his dad was Swedish. I want to say Michael Nylander was his name. But yeah, dude, William Nylander is tearing it the fuck up right
Yeah.
now.
No, he is.
It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with the Leafs because I mean, he's
Dude.
looking like he's gonna get a big payday. So they're either gonna have to move someone or trade him, or who knows. I've heard all sorts of stuff with William Nylander, but yeah,
Yeah.
he's definitely hot, and I know he's up there top 10 points, and he's gonna stay there. I think the rest of the season if he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I think, yeah, he's it's a big year for him. We'll see if Toronto can keep him. I mean, they already have a lot of contracts, and we'll see what happens with him. We'll follow that along too in the season, maybe see if some stuff comes up about him, and what they can do if they can re-sign him in the middle of the season. I know one thing before we move on. I know I heard somewhere that last time he re-signed his contract when he was early 20s, he didn't want to talk about any contract negotiations until after the season. That kind of scared some people because they were like, just scared that he's not going to re-sign there.
Yeah.
But I have heard that this year he's willing to talk about it during the season. So we'll see. Maybe some stuff will develop as the season goes on. But our next player and final player for this is Matthew Tkachuk. So despite the Florida Panthers being pretty hot right now, the last 3 games, including last night, he hasn't had a point. But he does have 17 points this season, so he's tied for 39th in the league. But as of recently, that 3 games without a point. What else? I had something else up here about his last couple of games too. Okay, I spelled his name wrong. Take a trip. What's your pick for him?
I'm saying, I mean, right now he's not hot, but he's gonna get back up there. He is such a good player, and I think it's gonna take a little bit of time. I think by All-Star break he's gonna be point per game still, and cruising along just fine. But I mean, these 3 games, I mean, these superstar players have those. But I mean, I haven't been following the Panthers too much. Matthew Tkachuk was probably my favorite player when he played for the Flames, but kind of broke my heart when he left. And it's kind of something I don't even like to watch anymore because I'm like, fuck, he could be on the Flames. But no, he's gonna get back up there. He's just having a rough patch right now.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, looking at his start to the season, let's see here. October, he had 6 points. And then this month, he's got 10 points. Or no, sorry. October, he had 7 points. This month, he's got 10 points. So we'll see. I don't think that it's a forever thing for him. I don't think. We'll see. I mean, last year he had 100 points. It's going to have to be a hot rest of the year for him to keep up with that or get 100 points again. But yeah, I mean, every player is going to go through rough patches. So maybe just giving him a bit of a cool down, or cooling down. But yeah, we'll see how he continues this. But yeah, that's what we got for our hot or not segment. But next, we're going to continue with our Way Back Wednesday, even though what's today? Tuesday. But it'll come out tomorrow. So, but yeah, so Way Back Wednesday, Gally, we're going to switch it up and kind of do 1-and-1 and kind of make these stories a little bit longer. That way, provide some stuff and it's not so quick. Spark Note, it's a little bit more of a story and stuff like that. So, Gally, go ahead and take it away with your Way Back Wednesday.
Yeah, we get the 1998 Nagano Olympics, the men's tournament. I know there's a whole different story and history behind the women's tournament. I think the 98 games was actually the first time women's hockey was actually included in the Winter Olympics. But for this one, I'm going to talk about the men's side of things. Maybe we'll do the women's side of things down the road. But this was the first Olympics that the NHL players were able to play in. I know we talked a little bit about international hockey the last podcast with the Soviets brawl with the Flyers and them leaving the ice and whatnot. But this was the first time NHL players were actually included in the Olympics. And before then, the Soviets and Russia just dominated the fuck out of the Olympics. Besides 1980, obviously, but would just sweep these teams because their players weren't playing in the NHL, and the Olympics prohibited professional hockey players to play in the Olympics, which they currently do that, which is absolute bullshit.
Yeah,
Gary
that needs to
Bettman
change.
needs to pull his head out of his ass, and I do think a lot of the owners and GMs are part of that decision. But it really does grow the sport. I know. I mean, I think there's a lot of players that were playing in the 90s, 2000s, even the 2010s that watched that miracle game and were inspired by that. And not only that, I mean, in 2010, I remember watching that as a kid. It was crazy when Parise scored like 20 seconds left to tie it up and against Canada, and then Canada won. But still, I mean,
that game, was insane. Yeah,
having that sort of talent, and then Sochi, the next Olympics, when TJ Oshie had the 6 goals in a shootout. But I mean, having that sort of players won in the Olympic Games, it's the most watched sport. But not only that, it really draws to the growth of hockey. But yeah, this was going back to Nagano. This is the first time NHL players were allowed in the games. And there was some stacked teams to start out with. Just looking at some of the rosters, we had Team Canada. We had Scott Stevens on there, Al McInnes, Brendan Shanahan, Rod Brindamore, Steve Yzerman, Joe Nieuwendyk. Martin Brodeur was backing in the goalie with Patrick Waugh too, which is like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
And then we got Rob Blake on top there on D, Chris Pronger, Adam Foote, Keith Primo, Theo Fleury, who's absolute fucking stud too. Love that guy. Ray Bourque. Then we got Eric Lindros, Joe Sakic, and Gretzky. So the Canadians were fucking stacked.
Yeah.
And something that was very interesting is you'd think out of anyone, 98, Gretzky's in his 18th, 19th season, he's going to get the captaincy. Nope. Bobby Clarke was the GM, which we talked about last podcast, and Bobby Clarke gave Lindros the captaincy, which Lindros was only, I want to say, 4 or 5 years into the league. He was really good. Don't get me wrong. Eric Lindros was really good, but that was an absolute shock to everyone and probably affected their team a little bit. But going off of that too, Russia had an absolute great team as well. I know they had a lot of players that were studs for the Soviets for a lot of years. Just to name a few, Pavel Bure was fucking unbelievable. 9 goals, 0 assists the whole tournament. Which is pretty wild. They also had Alexei Yashin, Sergei Gonchar, Sergei Fedorov. So I mean, they had some absolute studs. Also, German Titov, he was another really good player for the Flames. So they had some really good players coming out of Russia. I think it was a little less firepower than some of their previous teams in the Olympics, just because they're so dominant. But then, even holy shit, looking at the United States team, going off of that, they had an absolute fire-powered team. I mean, just superstars all around. Brian Leetch was on D with Darian Hatcher. Chris Chelios was in there. Then you got Mike Modano, Bill Guerin, Brett Hull, Pat LaFontaine, Keith Tkachuk, Dougie Waite, Jeremy Roenick. So they had some absolute studs on their team, Mike Richter and net. So, going into it, you have these 3 teams that are just fucking superstar filled. I'd say Russia not as much, just because, there's. Still they have some really good players. Fedorov and Pavel Bure were next level at that time. But I mean, comparing those Canadian and American rosters, I mean, it was like a given that one of those 3 teams was going to take it home. But that's not what happened. And that's why I fucking love hockey. International hockey is fucking amazing because all sorts of crazy stuff happens. But the U.S. actually had an early exit, first round against the Czechs. Czech Republic knocked them out. And funny thing, I didn't even know until I researched this a little bit. Team USA trashed a bunch of rooms in the Olympic Village, according to the IOC, Nagano. So Nagano is in Japan. which is not a hockey market at all.
No, yeah.
Which I think is kind of interesting. But I guess they had 3 apartments were vandalized, 10 chairs were broken, 3 fire extinguishers were thrown in the court. One of them was thrown 5 stories down from a building, caused about $2,000 to $3,000 in damage. So that's about $4,000 in damage in 2023 dollars, which
Yeah,
is it's a lot of damage. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
if you think about it. I mean, it's not too much to those guys, but it's kind of crazy to think about like guys like Brett Hull or Keith Kachuk, Darian
Yeah,
Hatcher, Ronick post game just raging.
pissed
Uh,
off. Yeah,
but I know like Dougie Waite came out and said, there wasn't too much crazy stuff going on. There's some people going to karaoke restaurant, drinking a few beers, but I don't know. It's a very, very controversial thing from the Olympics, and Bettman didn't release any of the names either for who was involved
oh,
because
who involved?
probably would have had repercussions from who knows what. But and who knows? I don't know the full. I don't think anyone really knows the full story except maybe them. But
Yeah,
very, very interesting. But yeah, then the Canadians got knocked out too by the Czechs. So the Czechs knocked out the U.S. and then the Canadians,
and the
which
Canadians.
is
Wow. Yeah,
like those are the 2 best teams. They ended up meeting Russia in the finals, and they beat them 1-0 with a Dominic Hasek shutout. And holy shit, Jaromir Jagr and Dominic Hasek put that team on their back. I mean, I know they did have some good players like Svoboda was on there. Robert Reichel was a really good player for the Penguins. But I mean, only 11 players were on NHL rosters or had been drafted. And for them to come out in the first Olympics where the NHL, games, NHL players are allowed to play in, and win gold. Not only that, Czechoslovakia broke up 5 years before that, and they're somewhat of a new country. Very, very impressive. And Dominic Hasek had such a good tournament, which is crazy playing against some of these superstar teams. He had a .97, not even over 1, .97 goals against, and a 0.961 save percentage, 5-1 record, and 2 shutouts, including that gold medal game. So, yeah, I mean, I love international hockey. I love Olympic hockey. I think they 100% need to bring it back. But I think that's one Olympics that gets kind of overshadowed by the Miracle on Ice and 2010 Olympics with the golden goal, or 2014 with Oshie. But the 98 Olympics, it didn't go too well for the Canadians or Americans, but holy shit, like just to see a small country like Czech Republic win that, and just players like Jagr and Hasek, like NHL legends, put their team on their back and win gold medal. It's pretty amazing, just for the sport of hockey, and really put Czech Republic on the map. For them to win that first Olympics with all those players, and the players that allowing players from the NHL in it, pretty damn impressive. But yeah, that's my way back Wednesday. We'll have some killer ones coming soon. I got lots of good stuff to talk about, but I did want to talk about it because this was a pretty fascinating story and tournament. A lot of
I didn't know that there was that many like NHL legends on some of those USA, and let alone, I mean, Canada itself should have been the easy choice to win, but to have the Czech Republic to come out and do that. I mean, nowadays we do have some good Czech players, like I think Pasta's from Czech, Kevin Fiala, all that stuff. I mean, who knows? Those kids, I mean, they probably watched that game as kids and were like, I mean, probably turned them on to hockey too. I mean, I know with the 1980 Olympics, that's I had heard Jeremy Roenick kind of talk about it and say how those Olympic games really turned them on to hockey as Americans.
100%.
Yeah, so it's just, that's crazy that the Czech did that, and that's funny about the U.S. just trashing the Olympic Village like that.
Yeah,
I have an idea.
I don't know at all.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
yeah. I wonder who could be behind that.
Yeah, no, I'm wondering too. But I mean, going over, talking about the Czech Republic. I mean, I've been there. I went to Prague this summer, and I would love to go back there in the winter and see a hockey game because, I I know Prague has very, very big hockey culture and sports
Mm.
culture in general for Czech Republic. And I mean, having players like Yager come out of there, I mean, Yager has fucking legendary story about him. But even
Oh yeah.
Dominic Hatch, I mean, he was fucking lights out. NHL, won an Olympic gold medal basically for his country. So it's a pretty
Mhm.
fascinating story. And I know there's a documentary on it from I think it's the Olympic Channel or something like that. So pretty damn impressive though. So
Yeah. No, I think yeah, I think that's one thing I think all of us want to see is some sort of international playback for hockey players, especially NHLers. Even if they did like the World Cup of Hockey too. Like, I mean, I saw some stuff about back in what 2018 or 2016 when they did the last one with like North America and all that stuff against Sweden. It just looks like that's just awesome. Like, I mean, I remember watching the Olympics with, like you said, the 2010 and 2014 with
yeah,
Sochi and all those ones. Like, those were just great times to watch hockey, and it was just fun to see all those players and like idols that like I watched, like Joe Pavelski, an American player, going and is now the captain of his national team playing in the Olympics for hockey. Like, that's huge.
yeah,
Um,
100%. And
that's
yeah,
good for the game too.
yeah, it's fun for the fans. I mean, the
Yeah,
thing is like I understand the point from GMs and ownership and
yeah,
stuff. Their players getting hurt. The Olympics is middle of February towards the end of the NHL season, but
yeah,
I think there's a lot of pluses about it, and not only that, I think that all the players want to play in it. I think
yeah.
all the
That
players
too.
want to play, especially the Olympics, because the Olympics is a very special place in all sports.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be in hockey, it's one of those sports where it's like, okay, you got basketball in the Olympics. USA is going to dominate everyone. Now we got
Not
football in
recently.
the Olympics. Yeah, no,
Oh, do
that's
they?
true. That is true. I mean, but historically,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
U.S. does dominate in basketball. I mean,
yeah.
there's probably some arguments. It's probably not going to be like that in the future
Mm,
with France rising up and stuff. But yeah, and then they got baseball, which is, I'd say it's somewhat competitive, but the U.S. is always going to be favored in that.
yeah,
Um, and now they got football, which the U.S. is going to sweep.
yeah,
And I think hockey is one of those sports in the Olympics that's so competitive.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, it
Czech
is.
winning, Canada, USA, Russia, Sweden,
Yeah,
Finland. There's all sorts of good teams out there and
yeah,
countries that are hockey countries that I
hmm
really want to see games at, man. Like I want
yeah.
to go.
No, it would be cool. I think also just like with sports, I could say like I think soccer is a very universal, all around the world sport. I think basketball is definitely becoming one, but hockey is one that I think not a lot of people realize how big it is in Russia, Sweden, the Czech. Um, not most of the European countries, except for like Sweden and all those Norway, Finland, like all these teams, all these countries that do have a competitive hockey team. And it's not just the US or Canada. I mean, I know we've seen more recent like wins from Canada and stuff, but I mean, even a Team USA now, like if you look at that lineup versus Canada, I think it's pretty even. I mean, you've got, if you
Oh,
want to put your superstar McDavid on Canada, we've got our superstar Austin Matthews, which
yeah,
is a pretty close come up. We've also got Jack Hughes, Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, all the Quinn Hughes as well. Now he's leading the points in leagues damn near. Um, so yeah, I think it'd be an interesting. I think America's kind of coming to turn where we're going to have some competitive hockey in the Olympics, but we'll see if that ever happens. So, but
yeah. No, and it's yeah, dude. In today's age, it'd be so cool to see. I
yeah,
think it's gonna happen, World Cup of Hockey or Olympics, something like that. But fuck, man, it's just gonna come down to the owners and GMs and Bettman. So
yeah,
he's gonna keep
we'll
getting
see.
booed when he brings out the cup every year if he
Yeah,
keeps it up.
yeah, he'll always get that. But um, yeah, we'll see where that goes. But other than that, guys, thanks for listening, everyone. That pretty much wraps up our episode this week. I hope everyone listening has a great Thanksgiving, or if it's already happened, that you have had a great Thanksgiving, and the rest of the holidays coming up too. But we will be back next week. There's no really break that we have. There's some good hockey tomorrow. on Wednesday. We talked about maybe doing a parlay, but I don't know when this is exactly going to come out, so I don't want to blue ball anyone with our picks, and we're 0-3 right now, so take a little bit of a break. But other than that, make sure everyone listening. Make sure you guys go follow all of our Instagram, YouTube. That'll get your updates. Lets you guys know when we put out episodes. It also lets us know that you guys are supporting us and following along too. So, but other than that, guys, thank you for listening, Gally. I'll see you next week, and also have a good Thanksgiving.
You as well, man. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for listening. Grateful for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. Enjoy some turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy and whatnot. So
and hockey.
Yeah, and of course hockey. We got some all sorts of sports coming around Thanksgiving time. I'm really excited for that. Enjoy the days off of work. Cherish those.
That too.
So, we'll see you next time. But we out.